Good morning, guys. Happy Monday. Welcome to Ask a Dietitian Facebook Live. For those of you who are new, I host Ask a Dietitian every single Monday, unless I'm on holidays, at 9 a.m. MST to answer your questions about nutrition. Now, we typically take more of a gut health focus because that is what I'm most passionate about. However, I will answer any nutrition questions you have to the best of my ability. If I don't have the information, I will get it to you. But feel free to leave questions down in the comments. They'll pop up and I will answer them for you as they come up. And so this week, I wanted to talk about carbs. And it came about, it's been coming about a lot, and I talk a lot about this, but I really did want to drive home the message and be very specific, clear, and concise on exactly why, we can't just discount an entire macronutrient because it sounds like a good idea or because some celebrity had great success or, the paleo craze is over and it only worked for some people. So what's the next best thing we can hold on to? What else can we manipulate, change, cut out from our diets to get the health benefits we desire? And you know my philosophy. We're all about practical nutrition. All food fits at Ignite. Of course, different strokes for different folks. We'll figure it out. However, for the most part, cutting out an entire macronutrient is not a good option. And so I wanted to tell you exactly why that is today, because people often make nutrition decisions out of fear. And so they see all this stuff on social media. They hear so-and-so is doing it. They get judged from their food choices. Guys, stop judging people. Stop commenting on their food. It's not appropriate, and it's perpetuating huge issues in our society where we associate food with morality. We give it worth, and we tie it to a person's self-worth. So don't ever, ever say, oh, you're eating that, or, oh, that's bad for you. I'm surprised you're eating that, or, oh, I'm surprised you would eat this. It's none of your business. So to be frank, stop doing it, guys. It's a horrible, horrible issue in our society, and it just perpetuates really negative food things. However, lots of patients come to me and they've had experiences like this with judgment placed on their food choices, with social media pushing a particular diet. And currently, right now, all the rage is keto, ketones, ketosis. Get yourself into ketosis. And so I wanted to address my specific concerns with this. Now, guys, the fact of the matter is the evidence is out. There is not good long-term studies to show that the ketogenic diet is the best option for health. Despite, what Facebook and this celebrity and that celebrity are telling you, there is just not good evidence to say, keto is great long-term. Ultimately, I always say the healthiest diet is the one you can see yourself doing for the rest of your life. So for some people, perhaps keto works. We just want to be very cognizant that if we're cutting out an entire macronutrient, we're probably cutting out some really important things. So making sure that you make that up in a particular way. So, no judgment here. If you're following a keto diet and you're like, oh my gosh, Andrea, I'm happy, I'm healthy, why are you crapping on me? I'm not, honestly. I just see so many people make the choice to follow a keto diet out of fear. So out of fear, out of judgment, out of, oh my gosh, everybody's doing this. And they come to me and they're really overwhelmed. They're stressed. They feel like, oh my gosh, if a carb touches my lips ever again, I'm gonna, die, or I'm gonna get colon cancer or cardiovascular disease or whatever it might be. And we know that's just not the case. And so when I ask them, why are you following a low carb diet, or why do you think you need keto, or why do you think keto is going to work for you? A lot of times they're like, oh, actually, I'm not really sure. It's just, there's just a lot of information on Instagram and Facebook and Twitter, and my friend tells me this, and my friend is doing that, and my mom says this. So really and truly, they don't have a good basis for informing their nutrition decisions. They just feel like they need to. And because there's so much nutrition misinformation out there, it's super common and not surprising. And guys, the allure, the pull, the kind of, magic stuff that they're selling is very intriguing. And it makes you always feel like, if you choose not to participate, you're left out, that you're making a poor health choice. So keep in mind that marketing is a very, very powerful thing. And, ultimately, they're going to try to inform your decisions through eliciting emotion, whether that's guilt, shame, whatever that might be. So keep that in mind as you read crazy nutrition information online. A lot of patients are like, oh, Andrea, have you seen this? Have you seen that? Have you looked at this? And most of the time, unless I'm going to be talking about it, I don't have a particular interest in those things because I know they're going to come and go and they kind of make me want to pull my hair out. So without further ado, I want to talk to you exactly about why you shouldn't go low carb. And so, of course, I'm taking a gut health focus. Keep in mind that this is just gut health we're talking about. There's probably a ton of other reasons as to why you should include carbs in your diet. However, I think it overlaps really well with this. So as always, I love to pull in the latest research around the gut microbiome. And I wanted to talk about some really great research that just came out around resistant starches. So resistant starches are hard to digest starches that break down lower in your intestine or are metabolized by the bacteria in your gut. And we've known for a very long time that consumption of these resistant starches, so things like, whole grains, legumes, seeds, potatoes, consumption of these actually helps to lower blood sugar, improve insulin sensitivity, and promotes overall health. So reduction of risk of cardiovascular disease, diabetes, what else is on there? Colon cancer, I believe, but don't quote me on that one. But we've known for a long time resistant starches are beneficial to health. And so ultimately, we've started to find a connection between the gut microbiome and how they metabolize these resistant starches. Because we as humans struggle to break them down, struggle to absorb them. We know it's the bacteria in our gut making use of them and doing really great things. So we know that people that consume more of these resistant starches have a very specific type of bacteria. So Ruminococcus bromide, part of the Firmicutes family, which is associated with better gut health, is shown to metabolize these resistant starches, which has been shown to reduce inflammation. And this one is really interesting because a lot of people say, hey, I go on keto and I'm not as hungry anymore. But we know that consumption of resistant starches and the metabolism of these starches by the gut microbiome increase a peptide YY, which is a specific hormone produced in the gut, which is to decrease appetite. So it's part of that hormonal regulation pathway in which our appetite is decreased. So it creates that feeling of satiety, fullness, which, you might not get if you're not including these things. It also helps to activate other peptides, other hormones, which help to improve production of short-chain fatty acids and reduce inflammation. We also know that consumption of these resistant starches improve insulin sensitivity, so help with blood sugar control and help with microbial metabolism. So ultimately, these resistant starches are things that are found in foods that might be, bad or listed as, not great for you or are definitely restricted on the ketogenic diet. And so again, those are things like grains, legumes, seeds, and tubers. So potato, sweet potato, yams. All of those things are really great for performing this particular mechanism of action in the gut, which leads me to my next point, which is variety. So we know that people that have more variety in their diet have increased numbers of bacteria in their gut and increased variety of bacteria in their gut. And we know that people that have a bigger variety of bacteria in their gut have better health outcomes, and it is associated with a better picture of health. So when we follow a restrictive diet that removes an entire macronutrient, not just a food group, but removes an entire macronutrient, we're losing out on that opportunity to feed a variety of different bacteria. If you eat the same thing day in and day out, you are fueling certain bacteria in a certain way that is, maybe perhaps they prefer that form of fuel. And then these other bacteria that might prefer resistant starches as fuel aren't getting fed properly. So you're really missing out on variety when you choose to do something like a low carb or ketogenic diet. So variety is really, really important. The other big thing is fiber. So ultimately, when you follow a ketogenic diet, it's going to be challenging to get in enough fiber. It doesn't mean you can't do it, but ultimately, you need to get in between 25 and 38 grams of fiber a day. So we usually say about 25 for women, 38 for men. And I oftentimes find that, our grain products, our carbohydrate-based products are really excellent sources of fiber, which is very hard to get when you're cutting that entire macronutrient out. So yeah, you can get fiber from your vegetables. You're probably not eating a lot of fruit if you're on the ketogenic diet. Maybe you're having some nuts, but ultimately you're missing out on that primary fuel source for your gut microbiome, which is fiber. So again, are you compromising your bacterial health, your gut microbiome over the long period of time? We don't know the answers. I don't have a specific study. Maybe somebody's read one, but I have not. Looking at how the ketogenic diet influences the gut microbiome. But ultimately, we do know that less fiber means less happy gut microbiome. So it's often hard to get that in. And most of the time when I see people and I look at my ketogenic diet, anyone who's following that and submitting a food record to me, fiber is just not adequate. They think that they're getting in a lot of fiber with their vegetables, but ultimately they're hitting, 10, 15 grams a day. So ultimately we're quite short on fiber. So what's the long-term consequence of that is the short-term benefit, weight management, insulin sensitivity, versus the long-term consequences of altering your gut microbiome in a negative way. So that was a third thing. The fourth thing is phytochemicals. So I talk a lot about these, but these are specific food components, things like polyphenols, antioxidants, phenolate compounds. What am I missing? We'll just go with those for now. But ultimately, there are components that are in food that help to fuel a good microbiome. For example, we know that I believe it's black beans. Oh, yeah, black beans versus navy beans. Because black beans have that beautiful dark purple color, they're actually higher in phenolaic compounds than a navy bean. And we know that that phenolaic compound boosts a certain type of healthy bacteria in the gut. So ultimately, when you remove phytochemicals from your diet, are you, again, inadequately fueling that gut bacteria? Probably. Okay, so moving on to my last reason why I struggle with the ketogenic low carb craze going on and what I ultimately see it doing to people's health. So like I had said, the healthiest diet is the one that you can see yourself doing for the rest of your life. And so I watch people do keto and they're like, nope, I can't have this. I can't have this. I can't have this. And then all of a sudden, something they truly desire comes around and they choose to have it. It tends to be something that is potentially, carbohydrate containing, off limits, quote unquote, bad. And then they lose control around it and they consume a lot of it. And then they feel sick from it. And they're like, oh yeah, it's carbs. It's because I don't eat carbs. And, I ate this food and this food is bad for me. Well, one, it's probably the portion size. Two, it's probably the type of carbs. If you're going to go off the wagon, you might as well go bang for your buck and go buck wild and consume all those carbohydrates. So ultimately what it does is it leads to this all or nothing mentality. It tends to dichotomize food. And when you do consume carbs, you tend to consume carbs that are associated with, worse health. So usually high sugar carbs, quickly metabolized carbs. I'm thinking like cake, cookies, sodas, that sort of stuff. So, people think it's worth it going off the wagon for that sort of stuff. It's not worth it for healthier carbs that are actually going to improve your health. So it tends to lead to this like wild swinging in nutrition behavior from, quote unquote, perfect ketogenic eating to, oh my gosh, I screwed up. I might as well just eat all these foods. So this is probably not surprising. I see memes all the time on Facebook about this, but this all or nothing diet mentality tends to confirm that this is not the right diet for you. If you can't see yourself happily doing this for the rest of your life, then it's not a good fit. and tends to lead to this really polarizing behavior in food consumption, and tends to lead to food guilt, food shame. And frankly, I bet you when the next craze comes around, you're going to hop on that too. So, step out of, the crazy diet culture we live in, say no to this diet culture and figure out, what is actually best for you. Working with a dietitian can really help to support you on that journey in sorting out what does healthy mean to you and how can you implement that in your life in a practical way. At Ignite, we do that all of the time. We help people understand what they value most about their health, not what society tells them to value, and how we can shape and change nutrition behavior in the simplest way possible to help to make sure that the healthiest choice is the easiest choice, and that these behaviors fit within your life in a very practical way. So what is healthy for you is probably not healthy for your next door neighbor, is probably not the same as what your husband defines as healthy. It's truly figuring out what is best for you. And I had a patient the other day, and she was a great fit for keto. She'd been doing it for a while, and she was really, truly, genuinely happy on it. We made some tweaks and changes. We, defined some opportunities to liberalize here and there. And so I'm not saying, keto is, I don't ever recommend it to people. However, it doesn't mean that you're doing a bad thing if you're truly feeling like this is something that works with your lifestyle and meets your health goals. So again, still working with a dietitian to make sure that you're getting adequate nutrition is key. So we have a ton of people hopping on and off today. Maybe people are busy this Monday. I haven't seen any questions come in, but if you have any, please ask them below, even if it's after the live Facebook Live. I will make sure I answer them next week. Of course, we're talking about gut health, which is a very personal thing for some people. So if you're not comfortable, you can always email us at info@ignitenutrition.ca, and I'll be sure to answer your questions. I'll ask them kind of anonymously on our next Facebook Live next week. So feel free to ask that. In regards to exciting things coming up, we have a Cyber Monday deal on our Get Meal Prepped promo code Cyber80 if you head to courses.nutritionacademy.co for those people that have really been looking forward to taking the meal prep and planning course called Get Meal Prepped, designed by Susan Watson, meal planning guru. She is phenomenal. I've learned so much from her. I've gone over the course material and I thought I was a meal planning guru, but it turns out that, Susan is just next level. So if you're looking for ultimately the best deal we will ever offer, Get Meal Prepped, and you've been kind of like itching to take it, but the price point didn't feel right to you, we're offering it today for $47. And it will never be lower. We're doing this as like, you have till midnight, get it in. So please hop over to courses.nutritionacademy.co, promo code Cyber80, and you can sign up for that for $47. Other than that, we don't have anything too terribly exciting going on in December. We're going to be wrapping up some really great things at Nutrition Academy and Ignite. And if you have any questions, I look forward to seeing you next Monday. Bye, guys.